Hey, so today's video is going to be on the dangers of porn and gooning and a little bit about semen retention. So this video is about the boys, but if any female viewer wants to watch it, then be my guest. Um, I forgot to close the door properly. I was just about to get off my car, but then I said, hey, you know what? It'd be a perfect time to make a video. Today's my rest day anyways, right? And I got off of work early, so it's like, why not, right? So porn, gooning, all of that is an epidemic plaguing our society, plaguing men in the United States of America. It's an addiction, right? It's an epidemic. Dangerous like fentanyl in its different, right, a psychological way, not in a very physical. I mean, it's physical and psychological with fentanyl, but for that's more physical because overdose, epidemic, all that stuff, right? Porn. A lot of people say it's healthy, right? And it's a double-edged sword right there, right? It's important for everyone to know, hey, this is how babies are made. This is the way people make love, right? It's educational, right? It's something that should be taught in education, in my opinion, of course, right? But it's all over the internet, unrestricted, and it's free, and that's for a reason. That's for a reason. Society, civilization, the Zionists, the government, all these entities, they feed off of it, off of you. The reason why it's free is because it comes at the cost of your soul. It comes at the cost of your potential. And what do I mean by that, by your potential and your soul? Because you see, the more you feed into that machine, the more you lose your soul. And by that I mean your creativity power, right? Our more emotional, our human side. Because all the time we start gooning and we watch pornography, it shows us that the opposite gender, even though we know it consciously or unconsciously, it tells us that, hey, they're objects. All they do is think about their body. So when you see the person of the opposite gender, those are the parts you would be looking at first, right? Or if not, then just thinking, oh, she's hot, this and that, blah blah blah, or he, I don't discriminate. Without really saying, we're all people. This is a person. This is someone's daughter. This is someone's son, mother, dad, or sister, brother, etc., right? It diminishes our views on others. We say we see them as humans, but subconsciously that's not really what's going on right there. Well, what's been ingrained in your mind with all that pornography. Especially since everything nowadays is hypersexualized, and that's very much seen and clear with everyone's outlandish standards for each other. Oh, I want a girl that has big boobs and a big butt, right? And then the women like, oh, I want them to have a 13-incher, right? It's just the expectations are they're not as they used to be back then, just to put it lightly, right? So that's the problem it has. And the problem with gooning and with porn, they kind of they kind of connect, right? The problem with gooning is, of course, aside from it costing your soul, it costs your potential. And let me explain what I mean by that. So the more you pleasure yourself, the more you goon, the more you watch all that content, the more you teach your mind hey, if I do this behavior, I'm gonna get dopamine, right? I'm gonna get a reward out of it, right? But you're not really getting a reward out of it. You're just getting pleasure, and your mind kind of interprets that pleasure as, oh, I actually did something right. I actually did something, some adventure, some achievement. So wow, that's cool. Maybe I should keep doing this again so I could achieve the same the same feeling, the same pleasure, the same dopamine. It's just a very cheap way to trick your mind into thinking you did something when you really didn't, right? So like I said, it costs your potential. And the more you do it, the less you want out of life, right? The more you do this, the less you want out of life, and that's not good, because we as humans should be unlocking our full potential, right? We cannot keep ourselves down, especially by something external, just like porn and gooning, right? And aside from reinforcing that behavior, that behavior that you could have used to better yourself, exercising or reading a book, or I guess investing, that behavior gets that behavior gets replaced with gooning, which gives you that cheap reinforcement, that cheap reward system, instead of doing what's harder and what's actually better for yourself, a harder behavior that achieves the same goal, achievement, reinforcement, dopamine, right? The only difference is one is cheaper and one you actually have to work for. And the moment you start fixing, the more you start redirecting that behavior from gooning to something else, that's the moment that your addiction kind of stops. You have to redirect your behavior, and you have to keep doing it. You have to keep at it. You have to keep at it until finally you're saying, hey, maybe this is a better way of actually receiving my dopamine. I'm actually getting something out of it. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I look better. My eyes look better, right? You gotta do that. With porn, you just look in the mirror. Oh, I'm guilty. I really don't know what to think of myself, right? And aside from the behavior, it takes away your creativity, right? Part of it is that the more you do that, the less the less thoughts that you're gonna have in terms of creativity. Because really, this part is for the guys. What you do when you're gooning is that you take away your life force, right? You take away your seed, your life, right? And what's associated with life? Creativity. So by doing that constantly, not only do you take a piece out of your soul, but also your potential for creativity. The more you retain your seed, the more creative, the more opportunities you're gonna have for being more creative, for having, oh, maybe I have this business idea, or oh, hey, maybe I could do this, or maybe I could work out. Pardon me, I'm a little gas. Or actually, now I have enough courage to do this, so why not do this, right? And another problem associated with gooning is, this is something not a lot of people focus until they actually stop doing it, until they actually start reflecting on it. And I'm not gonna say that this didn't happen to me, but it did. I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. I had an addiction, and I'm not afraid to admit that I had a porn addiction and a gooning addiction, and I'm telling you this partly from my own experience. So, but the moment if you keep doing it, if you start trying to satisfy all your pleasures, all your basically your lust, right? If you feel lustful and you give into that, the less likely you are to control your emotions. I know it probably doesn't feel like pretty obvious at first, but you have to really think about it this way. You have to really frame it this way. The moment you feel lustful, like, oh man, I want to watch this video, oh, this girl, this and that, oh, when I go home, I'm gonna go bust one out, right? You're showing yourself that let you're basically showing yourself, you're basically telling yourself that giving into your emotions is a good thing. Letting yourself be controlled by your emotions is a good thing, right? And this addiction is the same with other addictions like alcohol, like smoking, all of that, right? Those people don't really know how to control themselves. Their pleasures, right? And in a sense, they don't really control their emotions, because what do alcoholics usually do when they can't really get what they want? They start getting aggressive. They start getting angry. They start getting violent, right? And it's the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing. Well, maybe, whatever. But it's the same thing with gooning, with that type of addiction. You're just gonna be short tempered. You're just gonna let all your emotions go out. Like, oh man, I feel angry. Oh man, I need to let this out. Oh, I'm this and that. I'm a loser. This and that. Blah. Oh my God. Everyone say I whine too much. This and that. Blah blah blah. Then you stop learning. You stop knowing how to control your emotions, because you given into your desires, those unhealthy desires, those desires that take away from the soul, right? And unfortunately, this is exactly what the Zionists want. They want to take away the masculinity from men, and they want to emasculate women. They want to take away men's masculinity through pornography, right? If all they do is bust, they're not gonna have the testosterone to actually do what they want, to actually control their behaviors, because part of it is learning how to control your desires, to control your behavior. And they won't actually have the creative drive to boost society, or to actually go through with whatever they want to do, and in a way that has to do with bravery, hence also bravery, right? And with women, because they start having these certain standards, and then men can meet it, and obviously men are guilty of this too. They're like, oh, I want to grow this and that, blah blah blah, but then, without realizing that they're human too. There's humans on both sides. We just let this lust inflicted upon the elites separate us. And it's working, but we have to learn how to see each other as human again. We have to redirect that behavior into something better, something healthier, into something creative. And we gotta start seeing each other as humans, right? With semen retention, I'll get to that in just right now, actually. It's a solution other than redirecting your behavior, right? Redirecting your behavior is a solution, but also semen retention is another solution, right? This is my solution, right? I'm just telling you based off my experience, right? But, the other one's also valid. But if there's anyone that finds a third solution, then, more power to you. These are just the two solutions I found out for myself and for others. Semen retention. This one specifically for the guys. So, obviously women, they don't have semen, but semen retention, holding on to your seed. And obviously you don't have to do it forever. Maybe you could let go once in a while, because that's healthy, right? You can't just go into your entire life without doing that, because obviously it starts creating problems, or that's what they say, right? I'm not a doctor, so I can only say as much as I could say, right? Retaining your seed. And yes, it's hard the first couple of tries, and part of the process is failure. You get back up and do it again. But then as soon as you start doing it more, what you realize is that you have this surge of energy, you have all this energy, and then your creative drive starts turning on too, and then you realize, hey, I don't know I had this much energy. Maybe instead of just gooning all day, I could actually do something with my life, right? So I guess redirecting your behavior and semen retention are connected, but it's whatever. Maybe I could do this with my life. And then when you finally have that try, once you actually are successful with that one try, you start seeing that lust and pleasures is just something very material, something very of the flesh. And retaining your seed is something more spiritual, something more mental, something more physical, because people say it is placebo, whatever, right? But you have to actually really believe it. I believe it, right? It actually helps out with whatever you want to do, right? That's just my opinion, right? The more you retain, the more you'll be able to do, the more it'll help you do whatever you want to do with your life, right? And the more you realize that, hey, all this lust, all this pleasure for the long term isn't really worth it. Retaining your seed has really helped you, and letting it out once or pleasuring yourself more often isn't really ideal. I wish this was something I could explain in detail, but it's just something you would have to experience yourself. But I would say semen retention has really helped me, so that's just my advice. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and stay off the hub.